Angry Soccer Mom here. Today I'm going to talk about a topic I rarely bring up because it makes white people flip out. But first, I'm going to shamelessly plug myself and my YouTube channel if you believe that it's time for white America to take some racial responsibility and educate themselves about how to support equality for everybody. Please consider joining my YouTube channel. The truth is, there are about 3 things that actually make a person less racist. One is education, one is traveling the world, and the other one is becoming close friends with somebody who is not white. That's why I'm always trying to educate white Americans to become supportive of equality for everybody. And mostly because I can't afford airline tickets for everybody too. But there's one thing that is even worse than calling someone a racist, and that's saying that all whites are racist. This is because Americans are thinking of racism in a very old-fashioned way. The racism I'm talking about is way bigger than any one of us. It's a complex system that was built and developed, and that's what created our culture. Racism in America was built on the near genocide of the brown, indigenous, and black people who lived here, and the forced enslavement of people who were kidnapped from their homes and dragged over and put into a system of non-human status. Our nation is so centered around racism, you literally cannot grow up here and not exhibit at least the minimum lowest levels of racism. It's impossible. So when someone says all whites are racist, what white people don't get is they think I'm stereotyping them into one category, and it's just as bad as if I stereotyped black people into one category. But it's not the same thing because white people have the power. And plus, I'm not talking about that racism, like I told you before, the racism you're thinking of, not the old-fashioned stuff. This is a system, so it's not about you. So when people say stuff like slavery was so long ago, and things like that, they're implying that there's some finite cutoff point where people stop being racist. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. All white people fall into the continuum somewhere, if nothing else, by the fact that they were born into a society that is based on white supremacy. So let me tell you a little bit. It's the lowest level. It's called implicit bias. It's probably evolutionary in nature and kind of how people evolved to keep themselves safe. All you need to counter implicit bias is self-awareness. If you want to truly understand racism and the continuum that every white person is on, it's not an insult. And combating it is not that hard. Let me explain what I mean by implicit bias. The segregation we have in America today, in and of itself, can offer implicit bias. And you see that the white people over here and the people of color over here. Your parents don't have to say anything. I was born into, American culture, so I have implicit bias. And even I had to be willing to be analytical and introspective and not be defensive and just say, how did I get the implicit bias that I have today? The first memory I have as a little kid is I used to come downstairs when I was like 3 or 4, and I wasn't allowed to be out of bed, but I'd sneak out of bed. My parents would be watching TV. There would be these black people lined up in handcuffs, and they had this line over their eyes. Now I realize what I was watching. I was watching the 11 o'clock news, basically the lineup of people being arrested. What does that tell a 2 or 3-year-old? Those are the bad guys. I remember when I was about 4 or 5. It was in the day where you'd kind of scoot your kid out the door, and you'd say on the weekends or in the summer, come back by the time the sun goes down, One day, my friends and I went to Carol Sartorius' house. She always had this giant fence near her in the backyard. It was so big, I was too little to see over it. One day we went there, and there was an opening at the very bottom, and all these little houses, and all these brown people everywhere, going about their business, it was a whole nother world. We saw these 2 other kids, and they looked like they wanted to play, so we kind of motioned them to come over, and they played with us all day. When they went back, when the sun was going down, I remember going, we'll see you tomorrow, we were really jazzed. We never saw them again, and I don't know what happened to the opening, but I never told anybody. I think I saw redlining. I think that was redlining. This is another way I picked up implicit bias. And I don't know how everyone else does, but I know this is for me. I was in this shopping center with my mom, and it was an outdoor shopping center in California. And we're going along, and she's hurrying, and we're going from place to place, and she's buying, and it's just me. And she's kind of dragging me along, and I'm, like 5, 6. And I saw a man, and I could tell he was sad. And he didn't think he was supposed to be there. And I was confused because I saw him and I felt really bad. I almost thought I didn't see him because nobody acted like they saw him. He was walking on the edge of the path, not near the shops. And he was a brown man. He needed us. Nobody stopped to help him. And I remember looking back like, did I just imagine that? We just walked by a man who needs us. And I looked back, but I saw him, and I wanted to go back and say something. I think I saw my first homeless man, and he happened to be a man of color, and I thought I imagined it. These are the little things. How we get implicit bias. I don't remember any of this stuff till I got like way older, and I had to kind of like think back, and it's how society teaches you who matters and who doesn't. I actually was at the point where I thought I imagined it because I couldn't imagine somebody walking by somebody who needed us and not stopping. So that's implicit bias. So when somebody says all whites are racist, a lot of it isn't your fault. You didn't stand a chance. Neither did I. That's why we have to educate ourselves.
Please support my attempt to educate white America by subscribing to my Angry Soccer Mom YouTube channel. Thank you.